On today's episode of That Was Us, we will be discussing Season 2, Episode 7, The Most Disappointed Man. Randall adjusts to the foster system. Kate and Toby take the next step in their relationship. Kevin visits Sophie in New York. And Jack and Rebecca finalize Randall's adoption. Hello, friends.
Hello.
Everybody.
Welcome to That Was Us, the 5-star hotel of podcasts.
I love that.
The 3 Michelin star
Is
restaurant
3
of podcasts.
as high
Is
as
3
it
the
gets?
ghost?
Yeah, for Michelin star restaurants.
Wow.
This is the Mercedes-Benz of podcasts.
We're doing all right for ourselves.
This is
are
the
we
Mandy
not?
Moore of podcasts.
Oh, wow.
The
I
Sterling
am
K.
honored.
Brown
Stop.
of
This is
podcasts.
the Chris Sullivan of podcasts.
Christopher
Come
Sullivan.
on.
I'm more like
Stop.
my favorite murder.
Good. How are you guys doing today?
Well,
Doing good.
how are you?
I'm doing well as well. It was a joy to dip into this episode. It's funny because you remember the show, but on a macro level. But then when you get
Sure.
granular again, you're like, oh, that happened.
Right.
Oh, that happened in this episode.
Right.
That
Oh,
sort of thing.
Deborah Jo Rupp. Oh, Delroy Lindo.
Popping up as our social worker in the present day. But let's talk about the past, okay?
Yeah, this episode was like a surprise to me how emotional it was, because I do remember the filming of it.
Yeah.
As I was watching it, I was like, oh, this episode.
Uh-huh.
It was challenging with children. Children are always challenging.
Sure.
And I think the trick of the show is, obviously, if you're an audience member and you're watching, oftentimes when we have flashback scenes to the children being quite little, like
Sure.
toddler age, and
Yeah.
maybe even younger than that,
Yeah.
they're different kids all the time.
Right.
And so sometimes children are children. They're toddlers.
That's right.
Like
They-
they're
yeah.
not supposed to be on-camera talent that, listen to direction,
They
obviously.
have huge demands. They demand naps.
Huge demands.
They demand juice boxes.
How were
They
these
demand,
young
you know,
babies? How many did you have to work with as well?
There were, I think it was the same 3 for maybe 2 days of work.
Okay.
That was split up, taking the pictures, which was sort of something that happens in the beginning of the episode. We're taking like
Right.
family pictures, and then the actual courthouse scenes, like in front of the judge. It was the same children, and they were wonderful and so adorable, but they're also kids, and
Yeah.
they're cranky because their naps are being
Sure.
pushed in weird directions and stuff. So I just remember it being maybe one of the more challenging shoots with kids that are, 1 or 1.5 or something.
Didn't require a lot of acting.
It didn't require a lot of
That
acting
part.
in terms of like juggling the
Yeah.
children. So yes, I remember that. And I remember obviously working with the incredible Delroy Lindo.
Yeah.
Milo and I had some scenes with him, and he was very intimidating, which was perfect.
Yes.
I'm not sure if he was in character the entire time or or if this is just his presence
He
in
is a
life.
large and powerful man.
Yes.
He's a large and powerful man. Okay. Well, you guys are cleaning the house at the
Yes.
beginning of the episode in preparation for your social worker to come.
Our social worker Paula is coming over, and Jack and Rebecca want to make the best impression.
the best
Obviously,
Yeah.
they are just, they want to mind their P's and Q's and do everything
Yes.
right and keep it like tight. And this is their child, so whatever they have to do to sort of get over the finish line.
Yeah. And we have a montage because we have the first time that she comes, and then she has a couple other subsequent surprise visits, I
Yes.
believe, right? That were not announced. Because you have one announcement like, this kid is trying to take my nipple off. And you're like, oh, snap.
Hey,
She's right here.
yeah, you're here.
Paul is here.
Hey, man, Paul is
Yeah.
right, but she has nothing but good things to say about you guys. It's a formality. Everything's going to go according to plan.
Yeah, so she sets us up to go to the courthouse thinking like,
right.
the
Easy.
judge is going to rubber stamp
Deet,
this,
deet.
sign some papers, and we're done.
Man, before you get to the judges, because you do say, I think we need to take new family pictures because they
Yeah.
always have the pictures of the families up. And this is my own personal anecdote to add to this.
Is that why this ended up in the show?
No, I don't know if it is or not,
Okay.
but I would love to speak to shooting a show and being an individual of a particular shade of soul
Yes.
amongst folks that have a different shade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the lighting that goes into it.
Yeah.
There'd be times in which the two of us have a scene, and my single, I feel like the light is like
Blasting you.
Like this, I look at Mandy's light, I
And
was like,
it's-
that seems so nice and soft.
Yeah. And then you see it
Very
on camera
dim.
and you're like moody and kind of the shadow. Yeah.
But it's a thing, just trying to find the balance of it. And I thought it was a really kind of lovely thing that they discussed in the family pictures. Like the guy's like,
real
I'm just
thing.
trying to find the right sort of balance. And Jack's like, just take it and we'll figure it out. And
Yeah.
you see later on,
Right.
Mandy will cut from one shot to take Randall from this one is like and fit him into that one. Like, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway.
This is one of the many things about the Black experience that I, even in watching the show, never even thought to think.
Yeah.
Like it's just something it never occurred to me, whether it was the skin care, the hair care, this lighting issue.
Oh, yeah.
And our show
Recognizes that.
introduces those subjects
Yes.
so thorouh
Very much so.
throughout the story.
I would say kudos to our writer of this particular episode, Keyegun, Nigerian American. Nigerian lives in America, so well, and pays particular attention to those sorts of things, right? So we go to the court. We get to the judge, and you see Delroy kind of look over at the family and just sort of like has a moment of contemplation. And he says, like, I'd like to talk to your social worker about something, but I'll have you guys come back.
Yeah.
And you guys are like, well, what do you mean? Talk to her about what? Like, we thought this was just
she's not here, and she told us like everything was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like I said, I just like to talk to your social worker, so I'll see you in a few weeks. And you're like, okay. So we go to, you guys are all in the hallway. I think he's grabbing some vending
Coffee
machine
or
stuff
something,
or what have
yeah.
you. And I think Jack, is it Jack or
Yeah.
you? It's like, I just want to ask him, like, what is it that he wants to talk to the social worker about? And he's like, it's not appropriate for us to talk about this right now, but if you want to talk, let's go to Chambers, right? Go to Chambers. And I tell you, like I felt it. I felt it. I was like, I kind of knew. I mean, I read the script, but as an audience member, I was like, he gonna say something about white people raising a black baby.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he says it, and it's this interesting thing. And I have it happen within my house all the time, where I'm talking to Andrew in particular, because he's 13. Amari's still a baby. Because even Delroy says in the show, he's like, I didn't know what it was to be black until I was 8 or 9. One of those two ages, right? Which was the first time in which somebody called me a nigger, right? And I know I heard this on set too, that there would be times in which he would say it, and then sometimes he would say N-word or whatnot.
Yes.
But for your coverage, he like said it, so you were like,
Yeah,
boom, right?
for sure.
And it is one of those things, these conversations about race happen much earlier, I think, in households of color than they do in predominantly white households. Because when you are the minority navigating your way through the world, you have to know how the majority sees you. Women have an acute understanding what it's like to live in a man's world. Black people have an acute understanding of what it's like to live in a white world. LGBTQ people have a very acute understanding of what it's like to live in a straight world, right?
Yeah.
But the opposite doesn't necessarily hold true.
Right.
So he's saying, like, how are you going to deal with raising this black boy when you don't have a frame of experience? My father has heard it so many times. He knew what to give me in this particular moment.
And you don't know what to give him.
Right. And so I'm curious, like I'm acting through it, like, because there's visceral things that will happen as an actor. Like, what I'm imagining is like, I'll figure it out. You know what I'm saying? He's my child. I'll figure it out. So I'm just curious
That
for
is
you.
exactly where I came from.
Yeah.
And the defense of that they sort of give him, like, with all due respect, like, he was dropped in a fire station.
Yeah.
He was abandoned by his father. Like, we love him. He's our child. He's all we've ever known. We're all he's ever known. But as a human, I do understand where he's coming from as well. So it's like, again, the balance as an actor of trying to sort of like draw that boundary and draw that line and going like, I can't let that infuse my performance or infuse my way of thinking.
It is a great scene. It is a great story when nobody is wrong.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Everyone's intentions are pure and you understand both sides of the coin, you know? But I remember as the actor, or yes, as the character having to like so firmly hold on to this belief of like, this is our child and we will do whatever it takes to get these papers signed and for him to like officially be a part of our family. So nothing is going to stop me. Not this judge. And I respect him and I respect his way of thinking, but I do believe that he's not correct in this instance.
Sure. So what happens there's some moment, I believe, that causes him to have a second thought that ultimately leads to his recusal.
My letter to him.
It's the letter.
Yeah.
You sent the letter.
I sent the letter.
With the picture
With the
in the
picture.
letter?
Yeah.
Okay, because that was a beautiful moment, and just saying, like, listen, and you said basically what you just said there. All due respect.
Yeah.
Understand what you're saying. This is our son. We are Pearsons. We don't stop.
Yeah.
So we'll just keep showing up.
Yeah.
We're going to keep showing up.
Give me this kid.
And if I can brag on our show a little bit, a lesser show would have done that in person. A lesser show would have had the mother showing up in the judge's chambers to tell him a thing or two.
Right.
A lesser show would have had the judge have a change of heart and be up on the stand
And say like...
and say, you were right, I was wrong.
Yeah, you're right.
But the way it was handled as I was watching, I'm like, this is, first of all, the only way this works.
Right.
Yeah.
Is this letter.
Yeah.
And the only way it works when both people are right is that he does not judge one way or the other.
He just steps aside.
He says, I recuse myself.
There you go.
Because he said, I'm not going to change
My mind.
He said exactly that.
what I think.
Right.
But he knows that she's not wrong.
Right.
And he's not wrong.
Right.
So he shouldn't be
only
the
way
one
to
to
solve
decide
this problem.
this. Yeah.
And it was like, that is some deft television.
And SKB, you were saying that you ran into Delroy like
I did.
months later.
Yeah.
And he talked about how people...
He said, like, he gets recognized for this show as much as anything else in his career, if not more so.
That's wild.
And he had 2-3 scenes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
2.5.
But the show was in the zeitgeist. He's like, man, I couldn't tell you how many times people come up and stop me for This Is Us.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I wonder
That's
what the
so
interaction
special.
is like. Not just I saw you, but like I agreed with you, or you
Oh,
did
that would
like
be
I wonder
interesting.
what the conversations are. I wonder what his actual opinion of the opinion was.
So do I.
It's interesting.
So do I.
Yeah.
So, but okay, so he does recuse himself, and there's a little funny moment there where you guys say, like, what does recuse me? Is that a good thing or
Yeah.
They're like, we're not those people
Yeah.
that use
Listen.
recuse on a regular
Yeah.
basis.
Jack and Rebecca are a little more simple. Their vocabulary is a little more pared down. So yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
But I love that they then they go to this, they're in front of this new judge and she very kindly signs the papers.
Her name, by the way, is Connie Marie Brazelton. She is a dear friend of my mother-in-law's. Ryan and I lived in a property that she owned when we first got married.
No way.
Right? And she was one of the judges. I've also now lived long enough as a Black actor that I know a lot of the Black actors that play judges, both of them in this episode of our show.
Wow. I love that. Oh, her warmth, it's just
She's
immediately
warm.
like, oh, this is...
You know who she was? She was on ER. Like, you know how they had like a handful of nurses that were always there?
Yeah.
She was one of the...
She was one
Oh,
of those
yeah.
nurses, along with like Abraham Ben Ruby and
Yes,
stuff
yes,
at the
yes.
beginning. Yeah. Did that
Brilliant.
Wow.
at the beginning. So yeah, that's how that happened. So stay in the same timeline because we sort of also opened this episode
With
on young
William.
William, right? In front of another judge, and this guy was great.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
We're gonna get to it.
his
We're
name
going to get to it.
We're gonna get to
is Sam Anderson.
Sam Anderson.
What is he from?
Another,
so-
Yes.
another
I
populated
know he
character
is
from our
so
TV
dang
past.
recognizable.
I
I was
know.
like, obviously he's gotten older, but
Yes. If you guys look up on
I'm
IMDb,
gonna look
tell
it-
us
I'm
what
gonna-
he's from because I recognize him
his
immediately.
face, his eye, he has such kind eyes.
Yeah.
He has a kind
I
face.
want to say
So
Maddie?
keep going because William he's about to be sent to prison, sentenced to prison for however long. But he's talking to William about, how disappointed he is to have to do this because he doesn't have any prior record or whatnot. And William says something to the effect of, you're disappointed. Like, you could never be more disappointed than me. I'm the most disappointed man in the world. And says, like, what would you have me do, Judge? Right? People are out there selling. Would you not have me use? If you've been through what I've been through, you would do the same thing that I have
lost
done.
my mother. Like a year ago, I had my mom, I had my girl. We had a son coming.
Yeah.
And now they're all gone.
And we as an audience have an understanding of that. I think the really interesting thing is that we as an audience have an understanding of what William went through and who he will become. And we also have this understanding of like how he can be perceived by someone who does not know his story.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Which is an interesting thing to be able to hold both of those things simultaneous, because it's like, oh, I may be guilty of just seeing the surface of something so often and assuming I know someone's story.
Exactly. Filling in the blank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he, and I'm trying to remember what led to him coming to it, but he talked about how he had sentenced a young boy to 10 years and I had to sentence somebody else to 15 years. And when I do it, I already know what the end of their story is going to be.
Yeah.
Which is a sort of interesting statement about, does rehabilitation occur with incarceration? Or does it just mean that I've now sent this individual down a path that is very hard to escape? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, I think we get to this point, the judge, over the course of William's arc here, before he actually sentences him, he asks to speak to William privately.
Right.
And you're like, where is this going? What's happening here?
Yeah.
And he starts to tell William, like, I hate that I had to sentence a young man earlier today to like 15 years and another man yesterday to 5 years.
Yeah.
And basically like, yes, I have it written down here.
Which is a comment on the legal system's mandatory minimums.
Sure.
That
well, because he says, I'm a judge and I don't make the rules.
Right.
And if this is your third offense doing something, then I have to give you blank. And it's
he
it's
alludes
a big
to
problem.
the fact that he knows the ending, even when they haven't even been written yet.
Yes, ma'am.
That they write terrible stories and I can't change the endings and how horribly disappointed he is in this. And that's when he reveals that he's going to take a chance on William.
Yeah.
And instead of sending him down this one path, this one story that he already knows the ending to, he's going to get him help. And he's taking a chance on him.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And he asks him if he ever finds himself in a situation where he potentially is going to be writing the ending that he, as the judge, expects. He wants him to picture his face.
His ugly mug.
His ugly mug.
It's too old, too fat.
I was like, you're not being kind to yourself, sir. I was like, you have a very kind face.
Gotta be a rough life for a judge. Having just Googled his IMDb, by the way, quick side note, the answer to your question is he's been on at least one episode of every television show you've ever seen.
So he's
He has like 80 something.
But he was on 40 episodes of Perfect Strangers.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Gotcha.
Okay, he must, yes.
Yeah.
It must, that it's like something ingrained in me from childhood.
Yeah.
TGIF. So then I love that we have these sort of, we have this flashback to, or flash forward, I guess, to older.
What This Is Us does this. A flash forward back?
A flash forward back or back forward?
A flashback forward.
To older William getting his cancer diagnosis.
Yes.
And
wait.
Okay, sorry.
So because,
I'm jumping ahead.
Because the first one is young William out in the streets. He sees people using. He thinks of the guy's face. He sees his face. He turns away and goes
a different direction.
A different direction. Then we flash forward to older William getting his cancer diagnosis and sort of struggling with the idea of what is it that I have to live for, right? And you see him see his face again. But then the next thing you know, you see him pulling out some drugs and needles to use.
Yeah.
Right? And he's pulling it out to use and he's about to shoot up. And then he gets a knock on the door and he cleans up the needles, puts them away. He goes down to the door and he sees Randall laying into him from our pilot episode of the show.
The geniusness of the show. I was like,
Brilliant.
Come on.
Brilliant.
So moments before he was going to shoot up and then his son arrives at his door and changes the course of his life.
That shit was pretty good.
It was an exceptional moment.
Yeah. It was depth.
Beautiful montage. I wept. This is all juxtaposed with...
Wait, can I finish this part?
Oh, yeah.
Because there's one more scene with both judges.
That's right.
Yes!
Together. And what
He said, you do anything good today?
Yeah.
I don't know.
You? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Delroy and this judge that was in charge of William's life.
That's great.
It's very...
It was, again, yes.
It's very...
Chef's kiss.
Yeah.
It was perfect.
Yep. Time will tell.
Okay.
Time will tell.
We'll be right back with more That Was Us.
all the holidays, we are always bouncing all over the place. My parents usually come to visit us for Christmas proper, and then usually the day after Christmas, we fly to see Rachel's family on the other side of the country. So there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of luggage, especially with 2 kiddos. A lot of stuff to keep track of.
That's a lot.
Well, the good news is we are in the last few weeks of the holidays. Yes, it is a fun and beautiful time that we've worked so hard for, but my gosh, it is also so stressful. As a mom on the go already, it's tough enough to keep track of everything before holiday planning comes into play. But luckily, there's Life 360 tile trackers to help keep track of everything. It's the easy-to-use tool that lets you keep track of everything from gadgets to people, and it doesn't alert anyone you don't want to of your whereabouts.
Mandy, what do you put your trackers on?
Well, I have gotten this for my husband, who I love dearly, but sometimes is constantly looking for his keys, his phone, his wallet. He's lost some combination of those things, and it's like he only discovers it, obviously, as we're about to walk out of the door.
We should get tile trackers in all of his equipment that he tours with.
Yeah.
Guitar cases.
That is such a good idea.
Seriously,
we should put
guitar
them,
cases, all the stuff.
and all of the instruments that he tracks when he's traveling and checks. Wow.
While
great
tile
idea.
is convenient enough to fit in everyone's stocking, it's also easy enough to keep everyone and everything secure without having to worry about someone else having access to your location. Create a Life 360 map, add your loved ones into it, and simply ring your tile tracker to ensure that everything and everyone is where it should be. It means less of figuring out where things went or why family members are running late, and more having the peace of mind to enjoy the holidays and maybe, just maybe, have a little eggnog too.
Maybe have a lot of eggnog.
Come on,
you know what I mean? Like too much eggnog? You're like, that's too much nog. Family-proof your family with Life 360's tile trackers. Visit tile.com today and use code TWU. That's tile.com, code TWU. Okay, my travel vision board for 2025 involves trips back to Chicago to see family and friends. It involves trips back to New York to see friends in plays.
Okay.
And of course, trips to Toronto. I can't say enough, about Toronto.
4th largest city in these North America.
Is that true?
Yeah.
All right.
Right behind Chicago.
Wow.
Yeah.
I am not ready to start thinking about 2025 personally quite yet because there's still so much to do around the holiday season. But if you're already thinking about New Year's resolutions and how to maximize your space next year, consider Airbnb hosting.
Listen, we're big fans of Airbnb at That Was Us, and we've shared so many stories about wonderful trips we've taken and memorable stays that Airbnb helped to create. We'd also like to thank each and every person who thought, hey, you know who'd like to stay here? Sterling Brown would, and hosted their home on Airbnb. I personally say, namaste, gracias.
So, hey, why not take your home and help make someone else's stay a little bit better this year by hosting on Airbnb? You're already getting your home clean and tidy for guests. Why not? Hey, listen, you take a few pictures, you set up a host account too, and be a part of Sterling K. Brown's 2025 travel. It's a great way to earn a little extra cash, and you're creating some special memories for Sterling, who is planning a trip as we speak.
Your home might be worth more than you think. Find out how much at airbnb.com/host.
So that takes care of that timeline. What do we want to do next?
Let's do Randall.
Let's do Randall.
A mirror, another man
Exactly,
dealing
another-
with an adoptive
Very much so.
situation.
Of the foster system and the legal system and
He has to take Deja to go visit her mother.
Court-ordered visit.
Court-ordered
jail.
visit in jail. And he's having a judgment about it. Like, how dare this woman, drive her daughter around with an unregistered gun? Like, that's the most irresponsible thing. And Beth's like, well, you don't know. It's like, no, I don't know if I have any patience for this at all.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to do this because I'm supposed to do it, but I don't really want to
you
be
know
there.
her story,
Right?
without really knowing.
Come on. That's come on now.
Yeah.
Ye without sin cast the first stone. Like, we're all the way
guilty of it.
that we so snap judge folks as human beings.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to be able to put somebody in a box and then you just sort of like don't have to deal with them anymore.
Sure.
Right? And the show is always challenging us like, hey, just be careful of these boxes that you throw people into arbitrarily, right? Black, white, whatever. Anybody is capable
whatever
of
the
doing
situation
it,
may be.
Right? So we go to prison and whatnot. And I guess I remember working with Lyric on this, the young Deja, and she's very serious-minded young lady.
Yeah.
So I'm always trying to do things to try to get her to be like laugh. That's most of my scenes with Lyric is like, can I get her to smile?
I love it.
So we go to prison, and it's a real defunct prison. And it's always sort of an interesting thing when you do. Have you guys done the real defunct prison thingamajiggers? And it's like, oh, I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
Like energetically, it's just,
it's like, no,
heavy.
I don't like these places.
Yeah.
This don't feel good.
Yeah.
So we go, Randall has this moment where he shields her eyes because he doesn't want her to see handcuffs. And she's like, I didn't seen handcuffs before. And he's like, I've seen handcuffs too. And she's like, on TV or real life? I'm like, come on, man, like real life. And he's like, it's TV.
On TV.
Right? We go in there. Deborah Jo Rupp, our social worker, is telling us, good news, you don't have to be between a partition. Today you actually get a chance to hug your mom, right? She's so excited, so looking forward to seeing her mom. We go inside, we're waiting. I'm talking about her hair. Again, just trying to be silly, get her to laugh or whatnot, enjoy herself. Deborah Jo comes up and she says, something happened. She doesn't want to see Deja.
She opted out of the visit.
I was like, I didn't know she could opt out. Like, she said, it's court order, but she has the option of not, coming. And I sort of like say something. I was like, man, who's looking out for this kid, man? Right. Like, this is some bull. Like, she went through all of this stuff to be here, to see her. And I'm like, and it's sort of like indicting her as well. Yeah. As like, you guys, somebody has to be caring for the child. And she's like, look, bruh, you coming after me? And this is shout out to all social workers. They're saints.
Unquestionably.
They're saints. The things they have
that they
to see.
Yeah, it's nuts.
It is incredible because there's a very high turnover in social work. It's a matter of like 2-3 years sometimes.
Understandably.
Understandably.
I can't imagine how emotionally, physically, soul taxing it is.
And she basically reads him like, look, before you tell me if I'm looking out for somebody or whatnot, I learned sign language for people who have like eardrums laid out so I can tell them things like I know how to say.
We haven't found parents for you yet.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and then Randall sort of like says, my bad.
Yep. I apologize.
Yeah. I put you in the whole system in a box, and I don't fully understand.
Yeah.
Goes back, tells Deja something happened. There was a confusion. Folks, he makes up a story, confusion. She said, well, can I get my purse? I brought some money. I've been saving my allowance so my mom can get all the stuff that she wants in here. So he's like, okay. So they leave, and you see a delightful flip of R&B where Beth is, at the top. Like, this is ridiculous that this woman put her through this.
I love it when they flip.
Yeah.
I love it when I was like, I thought I was going to be mad when she's like, no,
on the show. Yeah.
And she's like, no, it's me right now. I'm like, okay.
Even in the course of the episode.
Yeah.
It's completely flipped.
Yeah. Rach and I have done that before where it's like, I can tell it would not be healthy for her to get upset at a person. Like, she's trying to focus on like the solution.
Yes.
And I'm like, do you mind if I for a second? And I'm like, this is, and I go on a little rant to just kind of let the steam that someone's feeling out.
Sure.
Yeah.
It happens for
Very
Ryan
thoughtful.
Every once in a while too. It's like Ryan's like, I don't like it when you get mad, Sterling. She's like, you stay calm.
Yeah.
Ooh, I want to see Sterling mad.
I don't get mad often. And my kids will say the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, Dad doesn't get upset often. He's like, when Dad does.
Oh, I bet.
Well, that's the point. That's the prison part of your personality. It's like, people are like, I don't want to be here.
No.
I definitely don't like this.
I want to see you angry. Just on the sidelines and not at me. But
and you need it so that people can tell the difference between this situation and that situation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So then we get home, we have that scene with R&B, and then Randall goes back to visit Shauna himself.
Yes.
And we see that Shauna actually got jumped. Face is sort of black and blue, beat up, says, I didn't want my daughter to see me like this. And they sort of have this conversation about who's best for Deja, whatnot. Sure. Randall says something like, well, I'm on this side of the glass. And again, she's like, you think you know my story. Like, I was trying to get myself right, and then comes Lonzo.
Yeah.
I'm carrying his gun for him, so to try to keep him, from something from happening to him. And I just got caught at the wrong time with somebody else's stuff, right? And the interesting thing about it is that Randall then has a moment of realization after recognizing that he was very judgmental and assumed that he knew who this woman was.
Right.
People did that to my dad. He's like, I thought about William. He's talking to Beth at the end of the episode.
That monologue.
And he has this monologue where he's saying, like, you know what? I think about my dad and where he was in life before I showed up, et cetera. And just the idea that, like, people would have seen him a particular way. And he didn't get a chance to be a part of my life, possibly because of perception or what have you. And we could be guilty of doing the same thing. And she asked to talk to Deja. I gave her our number, told her to call collect. Mm-hmm. She's going to call tonight. And Beth's like, all right. Mm-hmm. And you see Deja on the phone at the end of the episode,
laughing
smiling,
with her mom.
giggling, talking to her mom. Okay? That's where that one ends, and it'll build into stuff as we move forward.
Two people who are not wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Like,
you understand both perspectives.
Yeah.
You do. You do indeed.
And that's the balancing act of everything.
It is
of being human.
Is to hear and understand both perspectives.
Well, you know what, Chris? Like, to that point, like, even just where we are in the world right now, it is so, and I do not exclude myself from this. When I hear people espouse things that are contrary to how I see the world, the tendency and desire to vilify an individual is very strong.
Instantaneous.
Yeah.
Instantaneous.
I'm with you.
And to try to hold the space to recognize that my perspective is a perspective and not the perspective is something that you have to constantly remind yourself of.
I heard on one of my other favorite podcasts someone say, if I were you, I'd be you.
Sure.
It's just like,
yeah,
there's 1,000 things that have happened to this person to lead them to this perspective.
Right.
And it doesn't necessarily mean like, you know what I mean? Like,
they are wrong or evil.
We've all landed, and even in that conversation at the jail, she says, you've landed where you are because of a lot of things that have happened in your life.
Right.
Yeah.
And as have I.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, that's that. Kev or Kate, what do you want to do?
Let's do Kev.
Dive, go.
So he's stalling. He calls Sophie and is stalling on going to go to New York to visit her, I guess to move to New York.
He is getting sweatier. He is getting grayer. His bags under his eyes are getting bigger.
Darker, yes. He just knows that things are spiraling in the wrong direction for him.
Yeah.
He's calling Sophie, telling her he's not actually going to be able to make the trip.
And he just lies.
And effortlessly.
Easy.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, Kev, that's not true. Like, why are you...
As the addiction takes over, it becomes...
More drinks, more pills, etc.
Then he decides he's going to go see her.
He goes to see Toby. Toby sort of announced the...
is that when they announced the pregnancy?
Yeah,
He
he goes over there, like, I guess looking for counsel.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
correct.
Exactly. Trying to get something from his sister, and then they have the thing with the me, and you see
baby.
Sorry, baby.
That's later.
And you see in Kev's face just sort of this recognition of happiness for them, and I'm not in that place. You know what I'm saying?
It takes everything for him to remove himself from his self-centered,
narcissism,
addictive, self-seeking thought process to show joy for them being pregnant. Yeah.
But is that also, you think, what potentially pushes him to go to the jewelry store and make sort of a big gesture? Maybe thinks about his father and thinks about what his dad would have done.
Sure.
And I mean, he says as much in the jewelry store, like, whenever my dad messed up with my mom, he like always went and got her a big piece of jewelry or something. And he decides he's gonna go see Sophie. He's gonna try to make things right, and he's gonna bring three rings with him.
Sure.
Like, geez,
this
Louise.
isn't Ringling Brothers, bro. Like, make a decision.
Well, this is the kind of first take on the grand gesture as a positive thing.
Yeah.
But like, can we really look back and go, was it? Is that how you So when you screw up, you just go buy jewelry? Like it's an old line
antiquated,
of thinking, antiquated way of thinking that's like, this solves things. Even when it comes to like Toby and his grand gestures, it's like, all right, pump the brakes a little bit. How about a sincere gesture? I'm not saying there's not sincerity in this, but better sincere than grand.
Sure. I agree with that.
So, okay, he gets all three. And then we see him, he's back on the East Coast.
Yes, visiting Sophie.
At the hospital, talking to his other favorite nurse, what have you. And he goes to the bathroom, and he's got pills in the bathroom. And that's when he sort of goes through this imagining of what parenthood.
Well, he's asleep in the waiting room. Like he travels all the way and doesn't even tell her he's coming.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is also like, okay, thank you for the grand gesture. How about a little forethought?
Heads up, yeah.
Sure. Yeah, how about a little consideration?
So yeah, he sort of falls asleep in the waiting room, waiting for her because she's gone to another hospital for another shift or something like that.
She went with transport.
Yes, and in the course of this, he sees himself as a father and sees him and Sophie back together, and it's
not a good look.
It's not what he would have dreamt of.
I think when you're having like drug-induced illusions of like what the future is going to have, like painkillers, not all different drugs, but painkillers in particular, might not elicit the joyous future that you might have had in other circumstances.
That's right. That's right.
So he does that.
Yeah, I mean, he goes to she doesn't come back to work. She ends up at home.
Yeah.
And he goes to her house, and we find him at her door again.
And she's confused. Like, I didn't know you or I heard you were here, but then when I went back to the hospital, you were gone.
Right. Yeah.
And he's like, yeah.
And he goes on this rant. And I don't remember everything.
And an entire audience is going, no.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
No. God, no.
But he
Crashes
says,
and burns.
I don't know how to be a husband to you. I don't know how to be a father to our kids. And then later he says, I'm saying, when I dream of our future together, Sophie, it's a nightmare.
There's no coming back from that.
Yeah.
He repeats nightmare twice.
Yeah, he also says that he's trying to be his dad or to be Toby, and he's playing a part.
Right.
Like, it's not him. It's not the real him.
Right.
None of that is.
And
this is the real him.
Yeah. And Alexandra Breckenridge gives the most hurt expression, I think, in any episode of the series.
Sound. It was like such a visceral, wounded human.
Yeah. A lesser show would have given her something to say.
No, a lesser show. Yeah.
She just shuts the door.
She just makes this guttural sort of moan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like shuts the door.
Yeah.
It was heartbreaking. Like in that moment, I was Sophie, and I was like, I can't believe this dude is nightmare.
Yeah.
Like there's certain words.
Can't unring that bell.
You know what I'm saying? If I said to Ryan Michelle Bethay, I just had a dream of what our life was like together. And it's a nightmare. Ryan. A nightmare. She'd be like, well, Negro.
There's the door.
Get the goodbye.
I suggest you go back to sleep and try again. That's what she would say. Hey, why don't you take a nap and take another shot at it?
Yeah.
So that's where we're
leaving. That's the end of Kevin and Sophie for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
Now with Toby.
Yeah, Toby can just see Kate kind of making excuses for moving things along.
Yeah.
Right? She's worried, but also the excuses come on Toby's side too, because of his relationship with his mom.
Right.
And now they're having a baby out of wedlock.
Yep.
And he has a mini panic attack about calling his mom.
He does. She puts him on the spot and says, well, here you go. And you're like, oh, am I doing this? What the hell?
Are we doing
this?
We're
leaving a message?
Yeah.
Kate, I don't know what
That was so fun. Chris, thank God Toby brings the levity.
Chris is great.
Yeah, you bring the levity to the show. It's so necessary. It's so needed. And again, I feel like it's the thing people forget about the show. It's like, it's so fucking funny.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And so Kate is saying, whose idea is it? Is it Toby?
It's Kate's.
Well, let's get married.
She proposes going to the courthouse.
Let's just go.
Yeah.
I don't need a wedding.
Right.
Even though she might
may
need a wedding.
And she convinces both of them and herself, really,
Yeah.
like, this is why having a big wedding would not be the move. It's too
Sure.
stressful. And she makes every excuse under the book. And you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Except
Yeah.
we as the audience knows, I think she actually, like, she is so close with her brothers. Like, it is strange that this is the path she's, proposing to take.
Yeah, they end up at the courthouse, and it's a very similar feeling to ending up at the jail. I don't want to be here.
Yeah. This isn't the way I pictured it.
This is interesting. Just side Arlene Brown, mother to Sterling K. Brown, married twice, each time at the courthouse.
Wow.
She said, she's like, you know what, I'd rather spend the money on a house than spend it on these things.
Yes,
Very
Arlene.
practical sort of person, but also a bit of a stick in the mud. Because when you say like, Mom, we're going to get married and we're going to do these things, she's like, oh, I just got married at the courthouse. And we're like, thanks, Mom, but what about this one?
Yeah.
That was you. This is me.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. But because the guy says like, and whoosh, you're married. And like, oh, whoosh. That's the sound of getting married or whatnot. And you hear Kate
So
go through like,
romantic.
you don't have to worry about father-daughter dances, and I don't have to worry about my dad taking me down. Like all the things that she's like glad about. You're like, are you really glad about that?
Methinks the lady
Protests too much.
Yeah.
Indeed, sir. And so you sort of pick up on it. And there's this delightful scene. I wish we had him
The
here
urn, I
right
know.
now. I have him in my car probably right now.
You just travel around with dead Jack.
You're watching something. You watching Just
Sir,
Judy?
what's that in your backseat? That's the ashes of
Jack
television
Pearson.
character Jack Pearson from the hit television show This Is Us.
And you're having the conversation.
Get out of
you're
the car, sir.
You're like, I really think this is what she wants. You know what I'm saying? Like she says that it is, but I know in my heart of hearts that it's not the way to go and just needed somebody to talk through. It was really adorable. I love when you guys, and I think maybe I have a couple, but like are able to take these scenes when you don't have anybody else to talk to and make it feel like a conversation.
Yeah,
That's
like a
real.
two-way conversation.
Again, our writers did do such a good job. The scene with the urn. There was have we already talked? We haven't done Kevin's
Not yet.
That's next.
episode yet.
Coming up.
Yeah.
But there's all these monologues where people are just all by themselves. With
the babies.
With the babies.
robotic baby.
Yes.
It's like
we all have them over the course of the show.
Sure.
but the writers made it real easy.
Yes, but a lesser actor
Come on now.
That's right.
On a lesser show.
on a
That's
lesser show
That's right.
would not have been able to
That's right.
pass that off.
No, I can't help but agree.
I mean, because if on paper, if you read character talks to urn
Yeah.
on the table, you're like, oof, how's this gonna go?
not me.
You
I was
pull it
at
off.
home going, finally.
Yeah.
I got all these
Here
other
we go.
actors out of the goddamn way.
Yeah.
And I can shine.
Yeah.
Two kings of romantic gestures just having a conversation with each other. And then so then you come later.
With your grand gesture.
You
Jack
with
Pearson.
Toby's
Yeah.
grand gesture,
Yeah.
which required 5
Yeah, with
hoodies.
I think the writers were just messing with me. They're like, I know that the suit's a little uncomfortable for him.
He's always warm anyway.
What kind of gesture? Maybe we'll put him in like 5 or 6 hoodies.
So funny.
And it's such a beautiful thing because you keep unzipping them.
Yeah.
And you can see Chrissy about to have a reaction. You're like, there's more.
Wait.
No, I know you know what this is when you see Will,
Yeah. Right?
but there's 7 more words in this sentence.
Bear with me.
And you decide together that like, look, I think that you say that you don't want this, but I think you walking down the aisle with your 2 incredibly handsome brothers and being able to celebrate it amongst friends and family is something that would be good. So you propose. You say, because she says before, like everything we've done has been backwards. Like I'm the one who proposed to you when I didn't think that you could hear me, et cetera. And so like you actually take this moment to say like, you know what?
Yeah.
No, will you marry me?
Yeah.
Let's
And
do
she
this
says
the right
yes.
way. Yeah.
And it's really, really quite lovely.
Yeah.
Right?
It is.
So that was it. That was this episode. And we're also very excited. This episode sets up what we do for the first time and that we repeat a few times in subsequent
We repeat
seasons.
it one more time.
Just one more time?
Just one more time.
Which is a big 3 series of episodes.
Big 3 series.
Kevin episode, a Kate episode, a
and
Randall episode.
And I feel like we are on the precipice of a lot of transition for everyone, right?
Yes.
Kate and Toby are potentially going to be getting married. They're having a baby. Kevin's relationship is on fire.
Yeah.
Crashed and burned.
Yes.
And Randall and Deja and her being
Shauna,
a part of the Pearsons family now is there's a lot bubbling up there as well. So it's
and it is, I think it's a very fruitful and sort of like exciting moment for us as a show, because every once in a while you think you know what the show is, and Dan does a great job of like, the format is essentially what it is, but within that we'll every once in a while do something that's just a little bit different, right? Just so like every time you think you know exactly how it's gonna go, we change it up. And I as an actor in it, was always exciting to know that we could play with form.
Same, and that our audience trusted us enough. They've had, as you have always said so eloquently, they trusted us. They felt safe enough with us to go on the journey of like an entire episode that is just about one character.
Sure. Yeah.
And maybe not even in this particular instance where there's a Kevin episode and a designated Kate episode and Randall, but sometimes it was a character that they'd
never seen before.
That you didn't really know much about, and they still were willing to go on that journey with us. But I agree, when we would get these scripts that felt like it deviated from the formula or from what we were sort of expecting next, I was always so excited. Like,
very much so.
I can't wait to do this. I can't wait to watch this.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so more to come.
Yeah, we are going to stick to our formula and send you some commercial offerings.
Sure. And
after that, we're going to talk to
Deborah Jo Rupp. Yes. We're going to be right back with more of That Was Us.
More That Was Us after this short break.
Whether I'm tackling the chaos of life as a new parent yet again, or juggling a packed schedule on set, it's Peloton that helps keep me balanced. Peloton has everything you need to keep on track with your goals, no matter what season of life you're in.
I feel like Peloton can go hard.
Yes.
Or Peloton can go easy.
Absolutely,
can go nice and smooth.
I completely agree. Like, if there are times in which I need to train for a film, there's these boot camps that kick my butt up and down. If I just want to relax a little bit, there's some wonderful meditation, yoga, whatever you need, Peloton has it.
I love that even if you have 10, 15, 20 minutes or something, you can get an incredible workout in. You can get on the bike, on the tread, you could do a floor workout. Like, it sort of covers the gambit, and Peloton always keeps you on track.
And it's not just about workouts. With Peloton, you can find exactly what you need to get centered and motivated, whether visiting family, adjusting to a new city, or stepping into a new chapter of your life. It's like having your own wellness partner ready whenever you are.
Dude, I'm so glad you brought that up. Because just like Randall needed those moments of grounding during all those twists and turns, Peloton offers the flexibility to fit into any schedule, any season. Now imagine Randall squeezing in a quick yoga session to manage stress. It's all there on Peloton, ready to adapt to whatever phase you're navigating.
The Pearsons schedule was always packed with the Big Three's activities, so whether you're reminiscing about the pre-kids sports meditation era or you're in a full parent-on-the-go mode, Peloton has the classes and support to keep you moving forward. Take some time for yourself, again, whether it's 10, 20, 45 minutes, and explore everything you've ever wanted to try. It's all at your fingertips.
Because Peloton isn't just about the workout, it's about being there for you in every season, every era. Check out Peloton and see how it can fit your journey, just like it could have fit ours.
Find your push, find your power with Peloton at onepeloton.com. Ladies and gentlemen, my people, the holiday season is officially here. And you know what that means? Endless parties, indulgent treats, and lots of family time. It's great, but let's be real, all that stress and cold weather can take a toll on your hair.
Absolutely, Sterling. And that's why my wife Rachel has added Nutrafol to her daily routine. It's a small step that makes a big difference for her hair. She's been using it for months now and has noticed less shedding and thicker, stronger hair. It's been a big boost to her confidence.
Same here, bruv. I started Nutrafol a while ago, and it's been amazing to see those visible changes. Plus, I love that Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement brand, trusted by over 1 million people. See thicker, stronger, faster-growing hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol.
And let's talk convenience. With a Nutrafol subscription, everything is delivered right to your door, no prescription needed. You even get 20% off subscriptions, free shipping, and access to a naturopathic doctor for consultations. Oh, and they throw in a Headspace membership with your subscription. How cool is that?
So cool. Physician formulated with 100% drug-free ingredients, Nutrafol supports healthy hair growth from within by targeting key root causes of thinning stress, hormones, aging, nutrition, lifestyle, and metabolism through whole body health.
The cold, dry air of winter can be unforgiving, but your hair doesn't have to suffer. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code TWU.
Find out why over 4,500 healthcare professionals and stylists recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code TWU. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code TWU. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with more That Was Us, and we have a special guest with you today, our dear friend of the show, Miss Debra Jo Rupp.
Hello. Hi.
So we were just talking about, we were shooting in season 2, and the Emmys had happened, and I was blessed to have won the Emmy for season 1. And the next day I had to be at the prison to shoot our scene together at the prison. And Dan hit me up the night before and he goes, listen, you don't have to do this, but if you're interested, I think the crew would really love to see the Emmy.
Yeah.
Right? So if you could bring it to work.
So you brought it to work.
So bring it to work. So I brought the Emmy to work the next day, and everybody was taking pictures with it and like running around with it. And Deborah Jo said that she was just trying to get close to take a picture with the Emmy.
But Deborah, the tricky part is he brought it every day.
Subsequently.
That was the
Just a
kind
reminder.
of like, we get it.
The flex.
We get it. And then as he won more and more, he kind of ran out of hands to carry him. And he brought a person to carry them for him and follow him around.
I would have been the person. I would
Reminder.
have totally been the person. I didn't actually get to touch it. I was excited.
You just pointed to
You're
it.
like, can I hold it? And he was like, no.
It is so good to see your face.
You too.
Mandy and I were just talking about seeing you do a play by one of our writers, Becca Brunstetter. The play was called Cake. A beautiful, beautiful play.
And you were exceptional.
Absolutely.
Oh,
So
thank
wonderful.
you so much. But it was the writing. It truly, Becca is one of my all-time favorite writers. I mean,
She's great.
she
Ours
might be
too.
my
Us too.
all-time favorite writer. She writes the way people talk.
Yes.
And she's so bright and
Agreed. Then the question that we were asking ourselves is, was Becca the person that brought you into the show? Is that like how you got introduced to our world, or did it?
so it was Dan. So like the group of you came and to see Becca's work. And Dan came up and said, I'm going to find something for you on This Is Us.
Really?
He did. And then this is what it was.
Wow.
This is what it was. I was, no one usually will hire me for drama. I usually do comedy, which I'm fine. I'll do anything.
For sure.
But it was so nice to have that opportunity. It was just, and to have it come from a play, because theater is my love.
Yeah.
You know, I love a live audience.
Well,
so it was just really nice.
You
and then I
smashed
got to
it.
work with the Emmy Award winner. So that, it was just
you
great.
brought the drama in the current episode that we're talking about, and for anybody watching, they are well aware of your dramatic abilities.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're just talking about the scene in the prison where we find out that Shauna was not going to come see Deja, that she's opting out of that whole thing. And then Randall sort of indicts you as like, is anybody looking out for this kid? And you give me a look like, excuse me, sir? You think I don't understand what's going on here? Do you know what I have to deal with on a daily basis?
Oh, and the most heartbreaking example.
Yeah. You want to talk a little bit about how you read me for points and sort of destroyed me in my own show? Is that cool?
Yeah.
I just remember I had never been in a prison or a jail, or I've just never been in there. And there was like a door, and it was closed, but you could hear commotion behind it.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
I do.
And there were inmates on the other side of that door.
Yeah.
And I just remember looking up and seeing things that I've seen in movies.
Sure.
But I was actually standing in the space, and it just really, really hit me. That scene was so easy to do because of where it was, and because of you, Sterling, but it was really quite something.
Well, I mean, that just speaks to your ability, because there's so much like history and familiarity with what you sort of brought to this character and this particular scene, and just like that this is your life, this is your job, just day in and day out, like you visiting jails and bringing, reuniting children with their parents and visiting, and it's just like, it's wild.
I wish I had worked with you, Mandy.
Oh, me too.
Mandy's pretty awesome.
Me too.
Mandy's awesome. Chris is awesome.
Yeah, and me.
You're awesome.
And me, Deborah.
And you, Chris. And you.
Oh my goodness.
I was saying to Chris at the beginning of the podcast too, that being in that space, like I was immediately felt with like, I don't like this being here. Like this is not a place that is pleasant to be. Like the vibe is such that like, oh, I feel like I want to get out of here as soon as possible. And sort of even shielding her from it. Like Sterling shielding Lyric and Randall shielding Deja. Like it's a weird spot to be in. Yeah.
I remember that really clearly.
Talk to us. Okay, so you don't often get a chance to do drama. Obviously, you did something that took place in the 60s or the 80s, some show. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, somewhere 60s between 80s, something.
Some show like that or whatnot. Do you have an equal enjoyment in both environs? Does it matter to you in terms of which you enjoy the most? I know you can do it all. Do you enjoy one more than the other?
Well, I think that the more instant gratification is the comedy.
Okay.
Because it's kind of instant.
Yeah.
It's if you're succeeding or failing, like right there. Drama, you don't so much know. Plus drama, you have to really follow the through line. Like you have to really read the script.
So much more work.
Because you shoot it out of order. So you really have to kind of know where you are all the time. Sitcom, sitcom is like doing a little one-act play every week, and it's easy and it's fun. And either one is fine for me as long as I understand the character.
Okay.
And I understand the through line. It's very hard for me to play characters that are close to who I am.
Okay.
I recede.
Interesting.
I fall back. The further away, like neurotic people, crazy people, even though I can be that, I'm a little more down to earth in that. But those people are so fun for me because they're a character to me.
Right.
I can just be them. When they're close to me, like this was a little bit, I feel like this is how Deborah Jo would have said all of this.
Gotcha.
Wow.
Okay.
It's harder for me. So I don't know if you remember, Sterling, but the first time I did it, Becca came out and talked to me. The writer came out and talked to me, and I was working a little too hard. And then Becca said, just you. Uh-huh. And that's what I did the second time. I'm going to cry. That's what I did the second time. Yeah. And I remember, Sterling, you went, that was amazing. I have to get out of here.
Yeah. I remember.
It was really nice.
Yeah, you could. Well, also a testimony to being able to take a note. Like you're just like, okay,
I got it. I understand that.
It all went away and it penetrated.
And to provide Sterling with an opportunity to react in a way that earns him an Emmy.
That's all I really want. I need good work
for me.
I totally get that. Performance. Yeah. I get that.
Yeah.
How many episodes of the show did you do?
I would say 3 or 4.
Yeah.
I was about to say.
Yeah.
You had a great first scene when you first bring Deja to the house And as you're leaving, I was like, so that's it? And you're like, yeah, that's it. I was like, I don't know if I'm prepared. And you're like, no, you are. And I'm like, well, I've been looking up some stuff. And you're like, hey, man, you're going to be fine. Just take it one day.
And it was this time of year.
Yeah.
Because I remember pumpkins and I remember the leaves.
Sure. Yeah.
Did you do any sort of research into the world of social workers? Did you?
I did, actually. I had, there was a girlfriend that I had in high school, Gail D'Agostino, who was a social worker. And I don't know if I saw her at her reunions, because sometimes I go to my class reunions. And anyway, I contacted her on Facebook and I had a long talk with her.
Okay.
And she's the one that said, no, you see so much of it. You do not get emotionally involved in it. It is your job.
Right.
And you do your job well. Right. And so she calmed me down, because honest to God, I just wanted to flail around.
Right. But it seems like if she was a long-term social worker too, it seems like you can't do it without getting to that place. If you are too emotional, like I think you just
burn out.
You burn out.
It sounds like being a New Yorker. Like you live a life. And you see a lot.
True, yeah.
And you start to listen, if I'm going to get from the Upper West Side down to the Village, I'm going to have to put up a little bit of a shield.
And just go.
I cannot fight every battle along the way.
Yes.
I feel you.
It's true.
I want to say, this is completely non sequitur. Your hair looks amazing. You look...
Oh, you're so nice. It's the only thing I have left.
No.
My hair.
No, the whole face, I remember, I have a little bit of a crush. And as I see these beautiful lips on the camera, I'm like, yeah,
okay,
that's a good look. No, I'm just saying it.
All right.
I remember. I said it to her on set too. She knows. She knows I got a thing for her.
Do you want Mandy and I to leave? You guys can take over this.
I'll take some time later. It's all good. Talk to us a little bit about what you've been up to since. Has there been more theater? Has there been more shows? What's
right now?
Everything.
Right now we can see you on Agatha All Along, right?
Ooh.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Which makes,
Thank you so much. I've just been incredibly fortunate. My career is, I've never worked more, and I'm an old person. I'm just so fortunate, and I work with really good people, and I don't know how it happens, but I have done theater.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of theater. I got to be an executive producer at my age for that 90s show.
Yeah.
Yes. Congratulations.
Thank you. And then Jack Schaefer with Agatha. I did WandaVision first. Right. And people, I just luck out. I work one thing and then they bring me along to another thing.
I think
luck,
you kind
Deborah.
of create your own luck, man.
Luck.
You bring the pain and people want it.
You bring the power.
Absolutely.
Create your own Rupp.
Yeah.
There you go.
Thank you.
Excuse me, sir.
No,
I shall have my time with Deborah as well. Thank you.
Jeez, I'm going to get out of here.
And where do we find you right now? Where in the world are you?
I am in the Berkshires right now. This is my home. I am in the process of getting rid of the rental house in LA.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have an apartment in New York City that 70s show bought.
Yes.
Nice.
I'm selling that. I'm out. I'm just done.
Good.
I want one house, and it's going to be in Western Massachusetts in the mountains.
Yes.
Oh.
My best friend lives in Great Barrington.
Oh, there you go.
I love it up there.
You go.
So beautiful.
And I yesterday drove back and forth from Ohio, and I picked up a puppy.
Yes.
And now I have a little puppy.
Oh,
so life is really, really good.
That's fantastic.
Oh.
Deborah Jo, thank you so much
joining us.
for
Thanks
making
for finding
time
the
for us.
Yeah.
Oh no, I was so excited. I was so excited when I was asked to do this. Thank you for thinking of me. Truly.
Well, your work is exceptional. We're so glad to be able to celebrate you and celebrate it, and so grateful you are a part of our show and a part of the podcast.
Oh my God, what a beautiful, beautiful show you created. It's a beautiful show.
Bless you.
Thank you, Deborah.
Thanks for being part of it.
Thank you,
Enjoy
guys.
that puppy.
Have a good day.
And we're back. And it is time for our fan segment, ladies and gentlemen. This one's going to be fun.
Yes, it is. We get so many emails from you guys, and we want you, our fans, to know that we really do read them. We appreciate them. We love them.
That's right. So instead of just reading one letter today, we have aggregated a collection of many letters. Aggregated, a word you didn't think you were going to hear today, but now you've heard it.
Can't unhear it.
Let's go to the community display.
See what we got here.
This is a bunch of quotes.
A lot of quotes. Listen, listeners taught me to love my perfectly imperfect self.
Yeah. Helped me find meaning in my journey.
Yeah, gave me a second chance at what?
Just
it doesn't say, but
anything.
Gave me a second chance.
Helped me process unresolved trauma. That's beautiful.
Gave my life direction.
Gave me the ability to explore my feelings, confront my past, and find hope for my future.
I love all of that.
Reminded me I'm not alone.
Normalized that life is messy.
Changed my perspective on life.
Isn't that's all I want from art, is to be reminded that I'm not alone. Literally, period.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's it.
It means a lot.
That's all. That from a photograph, from a painting, from a TV show, from a song.
Yeah.
That's all I want.
Yeah.
You're not alone.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true. Help me see clearly. Goodness gracious.
Provided the closure I needed, but I could never find.
Wow. Didn't shy away from the tough conversations.
That's right. We had the tough conversations, so you could have the tough conversations. I remember I think I've told you this before, Arian Moayed, actor. He and his wife and their 2 daughters used to watch the show and used to, whatever the show was talking about, take the opportunity to
delve in.
Jump in and talk about whatever the show was talking about. And it was like an easy way into those conversations.
Well, because it's also a reminder that just because it's tough doesn't mean it shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Or that it has to be tough.
Yeah. Unburdened my heart, brought meaning to my life. I loved it, healed me.
Yeah.
Did we say normalized that life is messy?
Yeah.
We did, but it bears repeating.
Go back to it.
Normalized that life is messy.
Yeah.
People often wanted to say that the Pearsons were the perfect family. And I was like, what do you mean?
Are we watching the same show?
What do you mean by perfect? Because you're not wrong.
Right.
They are, subjectively a perfect family, but they are there's messy things going on. There's tough things going on.
What does perfect mean?
Exactly, Mandy Moore.
It reminds me of like when people say they just want to be normal, and it's like, what is normal? Like, show me what normal is, and then I'll tell you like if you can beat it or not, because there is no such thing.
Yeah.
In the same way that there is no such thing as perfect. It's just like our perception from the outside of what we think.
That's
perfect
right. That's right. I want to be more like Jack Pearson. Well, what part?
Yeah.
The alcoholic?
Right.
Or the loving father?
The one told Mandy Moore to go ever.
Yeah, like the secret keeper?
Which part?
Right.
Yeah. And when you take all of it, it turns out you probably are. Pretty close.
Come on now.
You have your flaws. You also have your really great qualities.
Sure. I think the thing that the show tried to show is that even in the midst of it, and even when you fell down, people kept trying.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like there was no giving up. Like even though like I've made a mistake, I've fallen flat on my face, let me see if I can pick myself up and figure it out anew.
It's just people turning towards each other instead of away from each other. Over and over again.
That's it. Period.
That's the show. And so thank you for all these little lovely excerpts that we took and probably totally out of context. And aggregated, making an amalgam of what this is.
I hope you enjoyed your daily aggregation.
Not aggravation.
Hey, not
aggregation.
Hey, y'all want to get aggregated? Why don't you send us an email at thatwasuspod@gmail.com.
Or perhaps leave us.
Yeah,
you call us.
You want to call us?
Yeah, call us at 412-501-3028. That's our emotional support hotline.
Yeah, leave us a message.
Sing us a Mandy Moore cover.
Or don't.
Sing us a Mandy Moore cover of another. Sing us Umbrella.
Oh, a cover of a cover.
This is like Inception.
We want to hear from you.
That's it.
Maybe we'll call you back.
Thank you very much for tuning in. Tell a friend. We'll see you next time on That Was
Us.
Peace.
Bye. Welcome back to the Retread segment. The Retread is brought to you by Peloton. Find your push, find your power with Peloton.
That's right.
The most disappointed man on this episode of the podcast. We talked about how in the past, Mandy and Milo got to work with Delroy Lindo.
Who's the judge.
He was the judge. He is
just
about
how
such
incredible
a force.
he is, how regal he is, how intimidating he is.
Yeah.
We also talked about how sexy Deborah Jo Rupp is.
Who's very sexy, very beautiful. We got a chance to see her again. It was a joy to behold. We talked about William in the past and sort of second chances that the judge gave him and how things wind up working out and dovetailing into him meeting Randall in present day. Like just when you think things are going to make a bad turn, we wind up finding that just at that moment, Randall pops back up into his life, which is kind of lovely.
And really just how a reminder of not to put one another in boxes.
Yes.
Thinking that we know the story, that we know the ending, and prejudging folks is never the way to go.
Ask more questions. You think you know what people are going through.
Right.
You do not.
Yes. Well done.
Brought to you by Peloton.
Find your push.
Find your power.
Peloton.
That Was Us is filmed at Rabbit Grin Studios and produced by Rabbit Grin Productions. Music by Taylor Goldsmith and Griffin Goldsmith.
Da-da-da-dum, da-da-dum. That was us.